how do I personally work on not become a procrastinator? Well, to address that, let me go through the thought process, at least for me, and it may apply to you, as to why it takes a bit of cajoling, so to speak, or a bit of a spark to get moving off your ass and stop procrastinating. You see, the way my mind works is, let's say I have to do something, and surprisingly, it's inversely related. The simpler the task, where I could just knock it out in 20, 30 minutes, the more I procrastinate. Versus a larger project, I kind of want to take on that challenge of achieving something huge versus just spending the time knocking out small things. And so I actually procrastinate more on the smaller things, like a household, build a shelf, versus the bigger things like planning this podcast and getting this done. So, but I have found that the more I envision myself finishing the project before I even get started. Let's say my wife wants me to, build a new shelf in the garage. The more I see myself finishing the garage shelf being built, the more I delay actually starting building the garage shelf. What's up? Yo, what's up, everybody? This is the End-to-End Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Yun Win. My friends call me the Prolific Ninja, or just Ninja. My listeners can call me Ninja too. This is the End-to-End Podcast, the beginning to the end, the alpha to the omega, talking about business, life, entrepreneurship, success, inspiration, motivation, and offering little morsels in this all-you-can-eat buffet called life. Back in the Bohemian Studios, happy to have all my listeners with me. Once again, we're trying to grow our audience. So happy with where we are now, but we want more. That's the only way our message can get out, and our goal of affecting the lives of billions across this planet in a very positive, inspirational way. So if you find value in this episode or any other episode, found it entertaining, laughed, giggled, learned something, even just a little bit, please do like, share, comment, and follow. Share this podcast with your friends and family. That's the only way we grow. And I'm forever grateful for that. If you have any questions or have any topics you want me to specifically address on this podcast in future episodes, please do email me, ask@the, don't forget the word the N, number 2, N, podcast.com. ask@the N2N podcast.com. A lot of my friends and people that come familiar with me, they'll probably always, a uniform question is, man, are you high energy all the time? Are you always just getting stuff done, knocking it out? The reality is for the longest time, I was a procrastinator. In fact, I still am in a lot of ways. Sometimes your level of procrastination is directly related to your success or the talents or the gifts or how hardworking you are. In school, for example, because I learned how to study. I had as I mentioned a couple podcasts ago, I learned how to develop my photographic memory. I didn't have to study a lot, to be quite frank. So obviously I procrastinated a lot when it came time for exams. It would always be last minute, which probably in hindsight was not the best way, not the most healthy way, but it got me through to where I am. But if you were to think that I'm just always hard charging, always go, exhausting my family, that could not be further from the truth. In fact, a lot of times, I do wait to the last minute to do things, just because my mind is always moving. That not necessarily moving in a sense of planning, not particularly being active and getting the plan executed. That being said, I do execute and I do get my stuff done. But I'm sure procrastination is an issue for a lot of folks out there trying to get off their rump and get to their dreams or reach their goals or what have you. So how do I personally work on not become a procrastinator? Well, to address that, let me go through the thought process, at least for me, and it may apply to you, as to why it takes a bit of cajoling, so to speak, or a bit of a spark to get moving off your ass and stop procrastinating. You see, the way my mind works is, let's say I have to do something, and surprisingly, it's inversely related. The simpler the task, where I could just knock it out in 20, 30 minutes, the more I procrastinate. Versus a larger project, I kind of want to take on that challenge of achieving something huge versus just spending the time knocking out small things. And so I actually procrastinate more on the smaller things, like a household, build a shelf, versus the bigger things like planning this podcast and getting this done. So, but I have found that the more I envision myself finishing the project before I even get started, let's say my wife wants me to, build a new shelf in the garage. The more I see myself finishing the garage shelf being built, the more I delay actually starting building the garage shelf. I'm sure that happens to you, a lot. And the reason is psychological, is because once you've envisioned yourself finishing the task, you essentially subconsciously in your mind have finished the task. See, I'll address this in another podcast, but there's no difference between the reality of building the shelf to your psyche. There's no difference between actually building the shelf and seeing yourself having built the shelf. In your subconscious, you've completed the task. So it takes even a lot more energy to get motivated to start building the shelf in reality. Okay? That is a psyche that kind of prevents me from getting started. Now, yes, I visualize myself in a certain, I use visualization a lot when it comes to success and my goals, and I see myself doing things as a goal. For example, I see myself being able to, on call, on demand, get into a private jet and fly wherever I want to. Not there yet, working my way there. But I see myself doing this. That does not trigger me to procrastinate to a goal. That's not performing a specific task. That's just a goal. I'm talking about performing specific tasks and leading this to procrastination. Writing a paper, writing a chapter, studying, whatever it is. Okay? And so if you see yourself doing it, then subconsciously you feel like you've already done it. Therefore, you never get started to actually do it. That's one thing. The second thing is, once you're told or been assigned to do something, the longer you ponder about it, all the things that can go right, that have to go right, all the things that can go wrong, that may or may never go wrong, the longer you think about all the variables and scenarios that surround getting the task done to completion, the more delay you're going to make in actually starting the execution of the task, which leads to procrastination. Okay, let me repeat that. The more you dwell and ponder the steps it's going to take to get to the completion of the task, the more you ponder what could go wrong, what you need to do, who you need to call, what needs to go right, all these things that you think about, the longer you think about it, the longer it will take to get started to actually do anything. There's a direct correlation there. So, going back, how do you get over procrastination on simple tasks, on big tasks? My hack, or a couple hacks that I do for myself, you can try these, and if it works for you, great. If you have other ones that I don't talk about, send them to me so I can learn about these things, okay? We're on this journey together. The first thing, and I forget who I heard this from, and kudos or shout out to whoever I saw this or read about it, is I actually count down in reverse, right? Whenever there's a race, for example, it's what do? You go 3, 2, 1, go. Or, you see a spaceship take off. It's 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Or like in an automobile race, it's, red, yellow, green, go. Right? So when I have to do something and I'm just kind of just not in the mood or whatever, and the trigger goes, hey, you need to do this. It's, hey, you need to do this, and I give myself 5 seconds. 5 seconds to think about it, contemplate it, bitch about it, whatever. But when that 5 seconds is up, we get up and do it. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, let's go. Okay. Wonderful hack. Our minds are triggered by, instead of counting up, counting down. When it's a countdown, we're triggered to take action because you're out of time, right? So you feel this hurriedness. Think about an end of a basketball game. As the time, if the game is tight and the clock is counting down, you want to take action quick. That's how it is in your mind. I've got to build the shelf. Step 1 is find the tools. Okay, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's go find the tools. Don't even think about step 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Don't think about the shelf being in the garage all neat and nice. It's got to find the tools. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's go grab the tools. So that's the countdown method hack. Okay, and again, shout out to wherever I heard this. I'm sorry I cannot give you credit, but if you hear this podcast, thank you very much. Shout out to you. The second hack is, like I mentioned before, the more you sit and ponder about what you got to do to get the task completed, the more you're going to likely procrastinate or feel like you don't want to do it. Again, because in your mind, you've already subconsciously did the task when you thought about it. So for me, it's looking at what you got to get done, build the shelf, but just focusing on the next immediate step. Like the countdown. Okay, get the toolbox. Okay, I got the toolbox. What's the next step? Open the box. Okay, open the box. What's the next step? Okay, find the instructions. Get the instructions. Next step. Make sure all the screws are there. Okay, make sure all the screws are there. So you've essentially created a mini tiny checklist of what you need to get done to knock it out to where you get the ultimate project done. Okay? But if you sit there, oh man, I got to get the toolbox, and then I got to open the box, and then I got to read the instructions, and then I got to go find the screws and count the screws, and then I got to do all of that. When you think about all that before you even get started, you're going to exhaust yourself mentally. A, your willpower might be 0 at that point. And then B, again, subconsciously your mind has said, all right, I've already done all the tasks. What is there to do? And you're not going to get off your ass off the couch to go build that shelf in the garage. And this can apply to any task, any topic, studying for a test, writing a paper, whatever. If I were writing the paper, it's, okay, open up the laptop, open up whatever, Microsoft Word. Okay, start typing. Okay, it's the next immediate step. And then slowly, as you check off each next immediate step, you're building momentum where then procrastination is not an issue. Momentum is the antithesis of procrastination. The key is how do you get to that spot where you're just building momentum on each critical task that needs to get done so you're not procrastinating. Okay? Procrastination ultimately is a killer. There's only so much you can do very last minute to really achieve your goals. Frankly, I like to hang out a lot, just chill, relax a little bit here or there. My mind is still working, but physically I'm not doing anything. So when it becomes time to get tasks done, those are the two main, I don't like to call them hacks, but tools in my belt that I rely on to get off my ass and get things done. So it's the countdown method and the next immediate step method. The countdown method and the next immediate step. And hopefully if you use these two tools, put them into your belt, you will become less of a procrastinator and more of an actualizer and doer. Again, if you have any other tools that I don't besides those two that will help with procrastination, please send them to me, and if it makes sense, I'll share it to the audience in a future podcast episode. Okay? But it's time to stop procrastinating. Let's all get off our asses so that we can live to our fullest controllable potential and inspire and affect as many lives as we possibly can in a very positive and enlightened way. Once again, this is the End-to-End Podcast. If you like this episode or any other episodes, found value, something you learned, insightful, please like, share, comment, and follow. Full episodes on Facebook, YouTube, iTunes, and Spotify. Visual on Facebook and YouTube. Just look up at N2N Podcasts. Subscribe and follow. And then we're also on all other social media platforms as well. This is the Prolific Ninja, and I am looking forward to bringing you another podcast episode very, very soon. What's up?